My husband and I have been struggling for quite a few years with debt and poverty and just struggling to get by. We hadn't really felt able to reach out for help because we're both autistic, so we both struggle with talking to people. We would tend to just panic and back away because we didn't know how to handle it. And then he broke his leg, and it became really obvious that I wasn't going to be able to cope with trying to make enough money to survive and also looking after him. And it was just like everything kind of reached a boiling point. So I reached out to a member of the local nursing team, and she put us in touch with an OT who put us in touch with Navigate, and Joe came round and started sort of getting all the details of our story, and it kind of went from there. Meeting Joe for the first time was amazing because I was really, really nervous. I don't like talking about my mental health. I'm actually a really proud person, and I really don't like talking about the autism unless it's talked about with friends or something. And I knew that I was going to be so nervous meeting Joe that I wouldn't be able to just act like nothing was wrong, and I would end up having to kind of do things like use a fidget toy to stay calm or not be able to look her in the eye. And I was really nervous about how she would respond to that. And she couldn't have been more understanding or more supportive. From the very minute I met her, she was just so friendly and so warm and so caring that I honestly felt comfortable with her almost immediately, which is kind of a miracle for me. That doesn't normally happen. She just made it so easy to talk to her no matter what I shared with her, because even on the first meeting I ended up sharing a lot of really, really personal stuff, and no matter what I shared with her, she just accepted it and made me feel completely accepted. And it was honestly, it's a really weird word to use, but it was kind of magical. Which sounds really weird, but it was. I think the most valuable part of the service was actually Jo's approach. She obviously really knows what she's doing. She's incredibly knowledgeable, which is important. But it was more than that. It was actually going out for a way to make sure that I felt comfortable and I could navigate at my own pace. And because I'm autistic, I often get overwhelmed, and she would actually call me out on that and just be like, that's enough for one day, we don't need to push on, which was incredible. And because I also have PTSD, at some point I've been too scared to do things like log into my Universal Credit Journal, and I was so ashamed to admit that to another person. But Joe was like, well, that's fine, I'll log in for you. Like, that's not a problem, because that's what I'm here for. And to have some of that approach where I never felt like I had to be ashamed of the things I was struggling with. She was so understanding that she kind of made me feel like, of course you're struggling with these things because you have all these different things going on in your life, and anybody would be, and she just made it feel all so normal that the whole thing became much less terrifying, and I felt like there was actually a way forward in my life, whereas I'd spent several years feeling like there was no hope, and Joe really made me feel like my life could get better. Being able to meet Joe at home made all the difference in the world. One of the things that I get with my autism is I have an incredibly bad sense of direction, which sounds kind of funny, but in reality it means it's actually very hard for me to leave the house or go anywhere, because I will get completely confused and lost if there's not someone with me. Which sounds kind of minor, but it is a barrier to me actually going to appointments, and if Joe hadn't been able to meet me at home, I might not be able to engage with the service, because the chance I couldn't have actually got there. So I know that Joe would come here, and also because I feel a lot calmer at home, I was able to answer her questions more and engage with what we need to do more, because I didn't have the added stress of trying to get somewhere else. Joe's help has made such a big difference in our lives, it would be impossible to overstate how immense it's been. We've gone from living on basically very little indeed, and really struggling and not being able to put the heating on or eat enough, to actually having enough money coming in to live, which seemed impossible because it felt like there were so many barriers to making that happen. And every step of the way, Joe just made us feel like, even if it feels challenging, it is going to be okay, and I am going to help you, and I'm not going to quit. And sometimes she just gets this thoughtful look on her face and says, just give me a moment, and you just know she's about to pull something incredibly magical out of the hat. She has to get us through our PIP applications without needing an assessment, because she knew that I couldn't cope with that, and she communicated that to them so clearly and professionally that they just believed her straight away, because they knew that she was for real, and it's just been completely life-changing. But working with Joe has also increased my confidence in being more of an advocate for myself, because I know that if it's financial, I know she would always be there for me. If it's kind of something else in my life, I still feel like I could handle it if I needed to. And if I couldn't handle it, I could just quit and try again later. Whereas before working with Joe, I probably would have just panicked and just not tried to handle things. And she's also made me feel a lot different about my own disabilities. I've been aware that I'm autistic for a really long time. I wasn't aware that I was ADHD until very recently, and I have several mental health conditions, which again I have been aware of, but I'd always felt a little bit ashamed and a little bit like there was something defective about me, like I should just be able to cope with things. And Joe's really helped me to see that I'm just wired differently and that I just have some issues and some different things going on in my brain. And because she's made me feel that way, I'm now more able to advocate for myself in other areas of life. And I'm more able to actually ask for help, because Joe's made me feel like it's absolutely fine that I need it, where I'd spent my whole life thinking there was something wrong with me. So the impact Joe's had on my life has gone outside of money into other areas as well. I would tell anybody who is struggling to reach out to Navigate, even if you're not sure what help you need or if they can help you. I'd maybe say especially if you don't know what help you need or if they can help you, no matter how stuck you feel, don't hesitate to reach out to them. They will meet you exactly where you are, and they are so kind and so caring, and they are so committed to their clients. They have changed my life in more ways than I feel like I can really cover just in one interview, and I think by reaching out to them you're giving yourself the chance for your life to start getting better, possibly better in ways you hadn't even thought of yet, so please do that for yourself.